Nampi dukkhaṃ Appiyehi sampayogo dukkho Piyehi vippayogo dukkho Yam piccaṃ na labhati Taṃ pi dukkhaṃ Saṅkhittena pañcupada-nakkhandha dukkha Idaṃ khopana bhikkhave Dukkha samudayaṃ Ariyasaccaṃ Yayaṃ tanhā pono bhavika Nandiraga sahagata Tatra tatra binandini Sayyathidaṃ kama tanha bhava tanha vibhava tanha Idaṃ khopana bhikkhave dukkhaṃ ariyasaccaṃ Jātipi dukkha Jarapi dukkha Vyādhipi dukkho Maranampi dukkhaṃ Appiyehi sampayogo dukkho Piyehi vippayogo dukkho Yam piccaṃ na labhati Taṃ pi dukkhaṃ Saṅkhittena pañcupada-nakkhandha dukkha Idaṃ khopana bhikkhave Dukkha samudayaṃ Ariyasaccaṃ Yayaṃ tanhā pono bhavika Nandiraga sahagata Tatra tatra binandini Sayyathidaṃ kama tanha bhava tanha vibhava tanha Idaṃ khopana bhikkhave dukkhaṃ ariyasaccaṃ Jātipi dukkha Jarapi dukkha Vyādhipi dukkho Maranampi dukkhaṃ Appiyehi sampayogo dukkho Piyehi vippayogo dukkho Yam piccaṃ na labhati ตังปิดุกขังสังคิตเตนะปัญจุปาดานักขันธาดุกขาอิดังโคปันภิกขเวดุกขสมุดยังอริยสัจจังยายังตัณหาปุโนภวิกานันดิรากสหกตาตัตตรตัตตราบินันดินีเสยทิดังกามตัณหาภวตัณหาวิภวตัณหาอิดังโคปันภิกขเวดุกขังอริยสัจจังญาติปิดุกขาจาราปิดุกขาव्याधिปิดุกโคมรณัมปิดุกขังอัปปิหิสัมปโยโกดุกโคปิหิวิปปโยโกดุก
Good morning from Seattle. It is 6:33. It is 6:30 a.m. from Seattle, Washington State, USA. And I am Bhikkhu Potao Sakdevi, live right now from Wat Camera, Iram. And first of all, I would like to pay homage to the triple gem, the Buddha, the Dharma, and Ariyasacca. Again, I would like to pay respect to most venerable Dhamma speaker join with us today. And before I introduce our Dhamma speakers today, I would like to inform that this is the Dhammika Live Dhamma Sandana, and it has been organized by the Dhammika Academy and also the Dhammika Live Foundation, situated in the state of Washington, USA. The purpose of our program is to disseminate the Buddha's teaching globally in the hope that our audience around the globe will be able to benefit from our discussion. And usually our discussion lasts for around 1 hour. And we have brought different topics into discussion. And for a series of Dhamma talk recently, we have been discussing about the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. We start out from the first sermon of the Buddha, and then the first, second, and now the third noble truth. So the title today, we're going to discuss in detail about the third noble truth, Dukkha, Nirodha, Ariyasacca, to further understand in depth what Dukkha, Nirodha, Ariyasacca means, how to practice it, and how to apply it. We will dive in detail and also we'll listen to our Dhamma speakers that we have invited to join today. So without further ado, I would like to read the background of our Dhamma speakers. First, we have most venerable Reverend Derangala Kusalajnana. He is a former lecturer in Pali, in Department of Pali in Sri Lanka International Buddhist Academy, and a visiting lecturer in University of Britannia. He won the gold medal for his MA in Buddhist Studies in Galilee. He obtained an MD IV from Harvard University, Cambridge, USA. He is presently reading for his final year of PhD at University of Jayawardenepura in Sri Lanka. His most recent publication includes a book translation on Bhikkhuni ordination from ancient India to contemporary Sri Lanka by Bhikkhu Analayo. Currently, Venerable is residing in Toronto, Canada. Welcome, Bhante. Thank you for joining with us today. And again, we have invited Venerable Kasapahon Kambara. He is the director and co-founder of International Cambodian Buddhist Center, and David Rodrigo Child Development Center for Special Needs Children in Sri Lanka. He is currently a visiting lecturer to Sihanoukvasy Buddhist University, Cambodia. He is a meditation teacher and a counselor. He teaches Buddhist psychology and Buddhist psychotherapy to Cambodian young people. He obtained his BA, special degree in psychology from University of Ratania, Sri Lanka. He was awarded for the best result of postgraduate diploma in Buddhist studies at the Pali and Buddhist University, Sri Lanka. He obtained his MA from the same university. He is presently reading for his MPhil at University of Jayawardenepura in Sri Lanka. He is co-translator of 600 pages book entitled Samatha Vipassana Meditation Techniques. And Venerable Gaspar is also an interpreter for Vipassana Thura Buddhist Center of the Kingdom of Cambodia, where he permanently resides. It sounds very interesting. Both Venerable Dhamma speakers today have so many similarities in your background. Specifically, both of you have been graduated from same university from Sri Lanka, Peratani and Jayawardenepura. And when both Kaspar also have been living in Sri Lanka for almost 20 years. So that is very interesting background. And of course, today we gonna discuss in detail about the Dukkha, Nirodha, Ariyasacca. So I will begin the first question with Venerable Bhante Kusala. So Venerable Kusala, how have you been? Please unmute yourself. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, you're good to go.
I'm doing good. Thank you for the kind introduction, and thank you also for inviting myself and my very good spiritual friend, Bhante Kassapa, on the screen together. We haven't shared a screen before, and I know this is going to be super exciting and interesting.
Yeah, thank you for joining and coming together today. So I would like to begin the first question with you. I would like to ask you, Bhante, are you still here? You look frozen right now. Bhante Kusala. Okay. Yeah, your picture just got frozen a little bit at the moment. Okay, now fine. So we'd like to begin the first question. Can you explain the meaning of the Dukkha, Nirodha, Ariyasacca? What does it mean? Because it is written in Pali. So I'd like you to just a little bit explain about the meaning of Dukkha, Nirodha, Ariyasacca.
Bhante, this is talking about Nirodha, the cessation of Dukkha, the suffering, and Ariyasacca refers to noble truth. So this is one of the four noble truths taught by the Buddha in his first sermon. So I can repeat, Dukkha Nirodha refers to cessation of Dukkha, ending of Dukkha, that there is no Dukkha left once this experience has been achieved through mental samadhi cultivation. So Dukkha Nirodha then has become one of the four noble truths, Ariyasaccas, taught by the Buddha.
So it sounds like what you're translating as the cessation of dukkha. There is no more suffering left. So is it refer to the term nirvana or nibbana?
It absolutely is. Nirodha, once it has been achieved, there is no continuity and the realization has already been achieved and dukkha has been ceased. There is no more reign of kilesa, defilements, found within that individual's mind, so that that person has achieved nirvana.
It's interesting one day. I just wondering if Dukkha Nirodha Ariyasacca also refers to the term Nirvana. Why the Buddha didn't use the term Nirvana in this Dhammacakka?
So he had to explain the activity, the function it does in the third truth, the Dukkha Nirodha Ariyasacca, and the resultant. If he wasn't talking about the result, he was talking about the directives, and therefore you see two different terms here, and the result is nibbana once the dukkha has ceased. And he further explains it in the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, the rolling of the wheel of Dhamma. In it, the Buddha says, Tassa eva tanhaya asesa viraga nirodho chago patinisaggo mutti analyo. So I think we can come back to these terms. But in brief, what is being removed is craving from the mind. Craving in various forms has no footing in the mind anymore. And as a result, there is letting go of that craving, non-association. Letting go is chago, non-association is patinisaggo, mutti is freedom, and analeo is non-attachment. So when the craving has ceased in all these ways, absolutely one is at complete peace. There is no binding anymore, and that person has achieved nibbana. But I wouldn't say that nirodha, dukkha nirodha, ariyasacca, and nibbana are synonymous, because dukkha nirodha, ariyasacca is speaking about the directives, and this is the truth of the availability and the ability of a human being to achieve the cessation. And nibbana is talking about the result. Once the person has achieved that goal, you are in nibbana. You have achieved nibbana, and you come out of that state and you reflect on it, and now you have the understanding that this is how dukkha ended.
So yes, in relation with that, there is the in the original Pali text, it mentioned about the nibbana is not actually is neither the result or neither the cause. It's not a vipaka, right? But what you mentioned here is like the nibbana is the result of the cessation of dukkha. How does that relate, Monday?
All right, so it is definitely nibbana is not a conditioned state, that it is not sankhata. Therefore, it is hard for us to explain it in conventional terms. But conventionally, we'll have to use the words like results to explain the achievement. So this is why we are stuck with language here.
Yes, definitely.
So we kind of end up in a crossroads in a situation like this, because there is no word, there is no language, there is no sun, the moon, like the Buddha says in Udana, that na tatta sukha jotanti chando tatta na bhasati. This is not even a place that exists like other places in the world. So that's why it's hard for us to even the Buddha did not attempt to confuse us by giving place indicators for nibbana or a lot of language into it. So the result is a realization, of course, in our language, but in technical terms, we may not even notice anything achieved as such as a result. It's not because of that nibbana exists. It's not conditioned. It is totally unconditioned. I think we'll have to go into details to explain what that really means, because we don't want to confuse the audience.
Sure, Bhante, yeah, because Nirvana is not the state of mundane, it's the state of supramundane. That's why we people live in the mundane world. We lost in words when we talk about something which is supramundane, something which is beyond the idea of self, you know. So that's why the Buddha compared just like the elephant stuck in the mud, right? If we get stuck in the word, and just like the 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 tortoise and the fish, you know, the tortoise was telling the fish that he just came back from the land and he walked on the land, and the fish couldn't understand how can a person walk like on the soil or on the land, something like that, because the fish cannot experience it by himself or herself, you know? So in the same way, when we use the term nibbana, it is very insight, it is very supramundane, something which cannot right now we cannot be experienced as yet. So we will talk about that and we'll come back to that later. Venerable Kassapa, thank you for sharing your insight, and I would like to turn to Venerable Kassapa on camera to share from his perspective as well concerning with the third noble truth. Bhante, if you have anything to add, please.
Well, thank you, Venerable Soktivi, and but before starting, I would like to express my, pleasure that having met our spiritual brother Venerable Kuslanyana, and it's a great pleasure to share the doctrine of the Buddha with you. And yes, we studied together and we attended, some basic, fundamental courses at University of Peradeniya. But he is my senior. Even we attended some courses together. Well, as Venerable Kusulayana mentioned that, Dukkha, Nirodha, Ariyasacca, and it is interpreted in many ways by the Buddha. And as we discussed earlier that, the big issue that we are having is we are getting stuck in the language to express what is nirvana, because it is beyond our sense organ, it is beyond our cognitive comprehension. And so when it is beyond our cognitive comprehension, it is really tough for us to use our own language, which is created by our own cognitive process to understand the nirvana. But we have to refer to the discourse itself, what is nirvana. I'm sorry, what is Dukkha, Nirodha, Ariyasacca. So it's kinds of abandoning the desire, detachment from desire, freedom from desire. So this is what I can say. That's all from me, Venerable Soktivi.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing from your perspective. And I would like to move on to with Venerable Kusalanyana. Now we have been talking somehow a little bit about what is Nibbana. Can you specify the translation? I know that many volumes have been written to try to explain the term Nibbana. So what does it actually mean? Bhante, can you clarify the meaning of the term Nibbana?
All right, so that's I think it's good to do that in the beginning of this discussion. So Ni has the sense of negation, like disappearance of something. So Bana and Vana, also is in you hear it in the word. This is like the craving, and this is like the desire that Venerable Kassapa mentioned. So bonding too, like, as long as there is desire, there is bonding. And that negation, that disappearance of any bonding has become Nirvana plus put together as Nibbana. So that is how we interpret it. And when we go deeper into the meaning of it, you find there is not even consciousness present in it. When consciousness has no footing, it ceases to exist. Normally, our consciousness either stays with eye consciousness. You are conscious on something that your eye spots on, or you hear something and you are conscious about it. Seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, physical sensations, and thinking. In all these 6 ways, you are conscious. One switches to another, and when there is no more, not even a meditative absorption to be conscious on, the consciousness ceases to exist. That you don't even desire that meditative state as your continuity, as your bridge to continue to something next, because you always go to something next. Now that desire has been ceased, therefore consciousness has ceased. That you have made conditions in such a way that no more causes continue the consciousness, the continuity of the consciousness. So when you have reached that kind of a state, not by thinking, not by sleeping, not by walking to some place, but through development of the mind, through sila, samadhi, and prajna, then you will realize this state. And this, therefore, the word satchikiriya, you realize, come to realize it, is used in the Buddhist language. And that is when the mud situation that you mentioned earlier, that there is no mud left, no hindrances left in that person. And also the tadpole taken out from the water now has become a frog, and the frog sees both the difference between the water and the ground. And of course, it is stunning at first, but then eventually come to realize that these are like, I have been in the darkness all the time. Now I see the light, and therefore you can use the words like Chakkung Udapadi, the eye has arisen. Jnanang Udapadi, the knowledge has arisen. Panya Udapadi, wisdom has arisen. Vijja Udapadi, the truth, the true knowing, true knowledge has arisen. Aloka Udapadi, from darkness to light has arisen. These are the words the Buddha has used, even in his awakening. And after that, upon listening to the teachings, his 5 disciples, among his 5 disciples, the first time Kondanya also had Dhammachakku, he realized this is how one would attain Nibbana, and therefore he became known as Anya Kondanya, the Kondanya who was known. So that kind of first step, I think we'll need to stop there. In that first step, you cultivate an awareness through listening the Dhamma and focusing on wise attention, and also spiritual association, such as monks or the Buddha, and you listen to the teachings and you eradicate 3 stronger defilements, such as Sakkaya Ditthi, strong self-view, Vicikiccha, doubt, and also adherence to wrong practices called Silabbata Paramasa. When you abandon these, your first stage to reach Nibbana has been achieved. So I think from interpretation, I kind of came backward to the beginnings where this whole process starts, because without the beginnings, I don't think we'll be able to put our steps on the last step. So I think you'll have to spend quite a chunk of time on the first steps.
Very interesting, Bante. You point out very detailed and, in a way that we can gradually develop ourselves to reach that stage. So we have seen many interpretation, and it is not satisfying to most of the Buddhist scholars. So that's why we just want to bring it out and kind of discuss a little bit, so that all of our audience can also learn along with what we discuss. So Venerable Kassapa, you have anything to talk about the term Nibbana and because we see that there are many different types of Nibbana as well as mentioned in various suttas. Please, Bhante.
Okay, yeah. Nibbana or Nirvana, to be honest, again, we have to remind about using the language that, because in some books and even within the Panya, it is stated that it is not a state and it has no place and like that. So, and there is a conversation between Most Venerable Sariputta and Wanderer Udavi, that Venerable Sariputta mentioned that happiness is nirvana, and he raised the question that how it can be happiness if there is no sensation. So Venerable Sariputta added that the no sensation is the happiness. So, like, I mean, what I want to say, this is the real ultimate truth. I mean, or nibbana, which has a distinctive qualities which can be differentiated from ultimate goal of the practices of other religion. Because I mean, even in Hinduism and even in other religious practices, they have their own ultimate goal. And I mean, the term like moksha or nirvana are used in other religion, but this is the unique quality of nirvana in Buddhism, that it is unconditioned, uncompound. And another thing is, it is the thing that empty of impermanent and empty of suffering. So this is what I can say, and to be honest, it's very deep, and for me it is the most difficult topic to elaborate, because and on the other hand, I feel like, fortunate that even we haven't attained or reached enlightenment, but at least we got the chance to talk about the nirvana. So, and I remember the story about Most Venerable Professor Rahula, that he attended a religious conference, and the question was taken from the audience, and the audience asked that, who is God? So the question was directed to the father, and he stand up and he was about to explain who is God, but Venerable Professor Rahula stand up and say, wherever you are, talking about the God, it's wrong, it's not right. So, I mean, what I want to bring to the discussion is that when we try our best to explain something that we never experienced, sometimes we get stuck in somewhere, and it can be, not that 100% right. So that's why I feel, this is the most difficult topic to discuss for me. So that's all from me.
Yeah. Thank you, Bhante, for sharing from both of you. I just want to remind, there are some terms which refer to Nibbana, but of course, just like Venerable Kusala has said, that we cannot say it's not a synonyms Dukkha, Nirodha, and Nibbana, but just would like to add some more information in the Asangata Sangyutta, in Sangyutta Nikaya, Visuddha mentioned 32 synonyms for Nibbana. So just take out some, like the term Tanhakayo, which Venerable Kusala has just mentioned, the extinction of craving or thirst, of coming or something. Tanhakayo, Asangata, Viraga, Nirodha, Nibbana, Amata, Khema, Santi, Sunyata, Animitta, Apanita, so and so forth. So many words. And I think the Buddha also, when referred to the state of Nirvana, he used the terms such as Ragakayo, right? Ragakayo, the extinction of raga, lust or sensual desire. Dosakayo, the extinction of hatred, aversion, and mohakayo, the extinction of delusion, ignorance, and so on. So I'd like to move on to Venerable Kusala. We have been talking about nirvana. It's not something like a place, like a figure where people can go and to reach enlightenment, but still in the mind of people, some people, even in the context of Cambodian people, we still think that nirvana is a place to go to. Nirvana is like the state or a figure, and some people, they even say they don't want to go to nirvana because there's no enjoyment, there is no Wi-Fi, and so on. Sounds like it is so easy to attain nirvana. I would like for you to add about that, because they say that it is taught that nirvana is not a state, nirvana is not a place, and we can only go to nirvana when there is no self, right? To attain nirvana means we cannot go with the idea of self, right? Because nirvana is the departure from the defilements, from the self you mentioned about sakaya ditti, it has to be eradicated from since the first magga, sotapatti magga. But if there is no self, so who realizes nibbana? And then
Ante, you have found very tricky questions, okay? So if there is no self, who realizes Nibbana? It's an interesting question. Okay, look at, I think we'll go to Ratana Sutta in this, that we find Nibbanti Dhira Yathayam Padipo, taking a lamp, a lamp, for example. If you have a lamp in front of you, I'm asking from the audience that they can look at it. And now this light goes off, and there is this light because of the conditions, because of different conditions, like there is wax, the wick in there, and somebody has lit it. So now, when this light is gone, are you able to go find where it went? Are you able to go and bring it back? It is because of these conditions that the light was seen. So this is an example continuously being used in the literature, Nibbanti, that they have been extinguished. The continuity has been extinguished. The fuel has been extinguished, and then that person has achieved this kind of a state. But to answer your question directly, like if there is no self, who's going to attain Nibbana? I'll take an Ajahn Brahm story because I have been his interpreter and I listen to these stories closely. So I remember some of these, that he gives the parachute story. Somebody gets in a parachute with the lunch pack, and he goes up in the air. This is like going in an air balloon, and he goes above the clouds and spends time there, and he wants to go further. And all he has to do now is to now, having gone up to the topmost that he could go, he has to lose weight. He has to lose whatever he is carrying now. So he realized, okay, my lunch pack is weighing on me. So he removed his lunch pack, and his water is weighing on him. So he removed his water, and now he went further up. Then he realized this is not going any further. Then all he has to do now is to himself jumping off, so the parachute goes further. You see, this is this self that is taken out, the him jumping off or the her jumping off, and now it is free, completely free. So all the my making and I making needs to be realized. And this is only a realization that, this particular physical I, if I were to take it as my I, then I should die at the time my physical body died. but this is not an end at all according to the Buddha's teaching. There is a continuity. Therefore, I seems to continue. So where does it continue? Then this question comes to us. So if you take I consciousness as yourself, and you can see the rapid changes that happens, that from I consciousness you switch to ear consciousness, like I said earlier, and then there is no continuity. It comes back again to something like nose consciousness or something. So these continuous changes that are happening show us that too, each consciousness cannot be taken as self. So we are breaking it down like we break down a car and we put the pieces everywhere and look at it from a distance. And now you only see a bunch of things. You don't see a car in it. And the Buddha is asking us to come out of that illusion that we associate everything in us as mine and my self. When this view, this is only a view adhered to by people, and when this view has been taken away from you because of you seeing the truth from your wisdom eye, this is important. You need to see all these analytical pieces. You have analyzed it and seen the pieces. And with that realization, knowing that there is no such a self, your desire for attachment is lessened. And you conventionally have to use the language that it is me practicing the meditation, but you also have this understanding that these are all the pieces put together that we conventionally call mine and myself and my meditation practice. And eventually, it is that realization leading you to the final extinguishing, final going out of the light, final jumping off from the parachute. And there is total freedom. And after that, your realization, realization is so strong that you don't fall back to any of the existences as an animal or a heavenly being or a hungry ghost or even a human being, because you have no desire whatsoever left to come back to any of such states. But even then, you will have to use, even arahants or the Buddha had to use the I language. This is I, this is me who is awakened. Tasma Buddhosmi. Therefore, I am the Buddha. That kind of language was used by the Buddha, but with that realization that all these are pieces put together to call someone, but there is no an actual being to wrestle with, to fight with, to suffer with. That this is such a freeing realization for a person. I think I kind of covered up enough for that question.
Very wonderful, Pandey. Very, very interesting analogy. I love the way you put your analogy. If there is no self, who will go to nirvana? Who will realize this nirvana? So instead, you mentioned about we have to drop the idea of self. Actually, if we don't drop it, it is too weighty to go up, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because the weighty things, materials that bind us into the round of samsara dukkha is our kilesa, is our tanha. The more we have our tanha, our craving, the more we become weightier, heavier, so we cannot liberate it, right? It will bind us in suffering. Yeah. So it's very interesting, and I would like to turn to Venerable Kassapa to, this question is tricky, but just like Venerable mentioned, it's also very interesting. Venerable Kassapa, you have anything to talk about that?
Yeah, the thing is, first of all, we have to differentiate between the conventional ultimate truth, and we use the word I, my, myself, in order for just expression. But in reality, there is, I don't use the word no, because there is a conversation between the Buddha and Vajjaka Gutta, and he asked the Buddha, there is there is a self, the Buddha was silent. There is no self, the Buddha was silent. And then Venerable Ananda approached to the Buddha and asked the question. And the reason that the Buddha was silent is because if he says yes, he is accepted. The eternalism, and if he say no, he would accept the annihilationism, the Ujjayadvada. So in Buddhism, when we say that non-self is not about there is, the soul exists, neither the soul doesn't exist. It's not about the existence of soul or not existence of soul like other religious belief. The thing is, and there is a good saying in the book written by Professor Rahula, what the Buddha taught. He said that sometimes nirvana sounds like negative because it kinds of annihilation. We annihilate the selfness or the soul or the soulism, but he rejected that. He said that if nirvana is not about that, because there is no self to be annihilated. There is no self to be annihilated. It's just our delusion. It is just our grasping. That is another term used for Baha Nirodha. In Abhidhamma, it used that attava upadana, the notion of attached to self. So it's about notion. It's about the creation of ideology that you think that it is mine, it is I. But in reality, Buddha said it is not. It just the entire process that dependently arising and passing away. So who realizes the nirvana? So this is the question we raise. We say we use I, but in reality it is the role of wisdom. It is the role of wisdom who realizes the nirvana. And there is a great phenomena given by Most Venerable Nagasena about that, because the King Milinda asked, okay, if no one realizes nirvana, then what happened to nirvana? And you know that when it comes to the 5 aggregates, and in Abhidhamma there are 121 consciousness and 52 mental objects. But in reality, what we have to understand is the suffering is within our body, and the cause of the suffering is within our body, and the cessation of the suffering is within us, and the path leading to the cessation is within us. So what we have to, and then the question is, if the panya, it is one of the 24 wholesome mental objects, and if it is permanent, okay, if it is impermanent, who realizes the nibbana, which is permanent? I think you got my question, Venerable Soktavi, because panya is still in the state of impermanent when it comes to realizing nibbana. And then Venerable Nagasena said, okay, King, now you light an oil lamp and you started writing a letter. Okay, and the letter was supposed to send to someone. After writing the letter, okay, you blow off the oil lamp. Okay, and he asked, okay, King, does your letter remain there? The king said yes. So similarly, even the role of panya, of realizing nirvana, is ceased, or out of its role, but the nirvana is there. So the oil lamp is like the role of panya, the letter we write is like the nibbana. So, and that is why finally we use that sabbe sankhara anicca, sabbe sankhara dukkha, but we use sabbe dhamma anatta, that including even the nirvana is non-self, because it is the role of wisdom. It is not role of it is not role of us. And in Satipatthana Sutta, it also said that it is just the wisdom, it is just the mindfulness. And I think if you go back to that, to Vibhanga Sutta, that there is a conversation between the Buddha and Pukusati. And I mean, he after listening to the Buddha's teaching, he started thinking to himself that, I mean, the 6 elements, I mean, none of them is not me, it's not mine, it's not myself. But he thought that if I use the, you know, the Rupa Jhana, Arupa Jhana, to understand this, to understand that, he said it is still a mental creation. It is still a mental creation. So he started, you know, as Honorable Kusulayana said, starting removing the notion that I-ness is there. It's about that. So I think that's all from me.
Yeah. Thank you so much. If we don't remove the self view, the word I is still there. We cannot go to Nibbana, right? Because with I, we cannot go to Nibbana. Nibbana, so to speak, is the extinction of Ditti, is the extinction of Upadana and Tanha. Okay, let me move to Venerable Kusalanyana. Some people still wonder, like, what happened after Nirvana? This is sounds like a related question to you already mentioned, but just to clarify to our audience. So when a person attains to the stage of Nirvana, or like the stage of Arahanta, what happens next?
Thank you for that question. Everything happens after Nibbana, but without any association of desire. So this is why in Zen koan, I guess, they say mountains are mountains, mountains are not mountains, mountains are mountains again. So you kind of first see the mountain, and then you realize this is, in reality, you don't see a mountain here if you break it into pieces. And again, you'll have to live in the conventional world using that language, although with, a deeper understanding that these are just stones and the 4 elements that we call a mountain. And now, for a person who has realized Nibbana, like an Arahant, the Buddha, I think, explains this to Dona Brahmin, that Pundarikang Yathavaggu Toyena Nopalipati Nopalittom hi kamena tasma buddhosmi brahmana. Explaining who the Buddha is, the Buddha says there is a pond in which the lotuses have been arisen, and these lotuses don't go back to the mud. They are not smeared with mud. So pundarikang yatha, just like that lotus in a vaggu, in a muddy water, Thoyen and Upalipati, it does not get smeared with wetty, muddy water. Nopalittom kamen, that person no longer associates sensual desire with respect to 6 sense doors. When that has been ceased, Tasma Buddhosmi Brahmana, therefore he is the Buddha. Just like that, Arahants do not associate any sensual involvement. The eye, ear, nose, tongue, the body, the mind, all these are there. They associate them for the sake of living until their ayu sanskara has also been abandoned at some point toward the end of their lives. When that too has been extinguished, then there is nothing more remains. There is nothing inviting for them to come back. They don't have any unfulfilled desires because the desires have been quenched already. Therefore, they have become uttaritara, lokottara. They have gone beyond the worldly conditions, and these also include those who have become anagamis, that they don't find any meaning in the sensual desires, but they may have some form of existence left in a pure abode situation, in abiding in pure state. And the Buddha said it's just like feces, even a little piece, little bit of feces smell bad. So the Buddha encouraged them to let go of that too, the wanting to stay in the pure abode. And when that too has been abandoned by a non-returner, an anagami person, they don't exist anywhere in any form of existence. So therefore, bhava nirodha, jati nirodha. Once the existence has been ceased, jati, the birth too has ceased. So there's no more birth, no more continuity of that person.
Ante, I'd like to add, excuse me, you said put an end to the birth. The Buddha said if we want to completely uproot the root cause of the dukkha, we have to uproot the root cause of being born, right?
Yeah.
Because if there is birth, there is suffering. It starts from birth. But if we talk, scientifically, doesn't that mean we put an end to the human race, like degeneration or extinction of the human race? When if people, attain nirvana, the Buddha promote nirvana.
If only you succeed in enlightening everybody, and that is impossible. There's only one Buddha appearing, and he only managed to awaken so far, so many so far. And there are so many, like millions and trillions of people yet to be enlightened. And it's so hard to even reach out to all these people to give the message. So that won't happen. And there's no need to worry about that at all.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much, Bante. Very interesting. What happens after nirvana. So as we already aware that there are two main different types of nirvana. One with the 5 aggregate remainings. That means that kind of nirvana, the arahanta are still living, right? Like the Buddha himself, he was not completely attained to nirvana. He's still living, but his mind is already at the stage of full enlightenment. There is no, any shadow of defilements in him. All kinds of defilement have been totally removed, but he's still living. And the way in which the arahanta or the Buddha, which is different from us in terms of his mental well-being, his mind is not shaken by the 8 worldly dhammas, the loka dhamma or anything whatsoever. So this is what happened to those who attain to the stage of nirvana. But another kind of nirvana, what we call anupadisesa nibbana, right? Anupadisesa nibbana, with the extinction of both 5 aggregates and also the kilesa nibbana. So just like Honorable already covered that there is something happen, but it's not strange. I mean, because nirvana is the extinction of craving, extinction of thirst and desire and so on. So we become completely happy, right? In the state of happiness, because our mind is not bound, it's not bound by any kind of attachment, any kind of unsatisfactoriness and so on. So I would like to turn to Venerable Gaspar too, if you had anything to add on to that.
Yeah, that let me bring some factors, in Milinda Panyaha about, because this is a question that, almost even some Buddhists, what happened after we attain nirvana. And yes, another term that the Buddha used for nirvana is ultimate truth, the reality. And so when we use the term ultimate truth, it denotes that there is nothing beyond or besides this ultimate truth. So if something happened after nirvana, that thing is the ultimate truth. So from the Buddhist perspective, there won't be anything happen after nirvana. So because you will attain it in your very, very lifetime. And there is let me bring back again about the simile that Venerable Kusulanyana brought up, that the metaphor of the flame. So that is the misunderstanding that people has, is that we think that the flame is nirvana. Okay, the flame is not nirvana. The flame is a being who is grasping, or clinging to the five aggregates. So that flame is not nirvana. And you say, so does we created nirvana, or after creating it we realize it? No, it is there already. It is there already. And that is why it is not in the past, it is not in the present, it is not in the future, and it doesn't have any place in nirvana. And then, but it has its own, how to say that, I can use the word foundation. The foundation of nirvana is sila, according to the explanation of Most Venerable Nagasena. That what I want to say is, it's about the role of the Sila Visuddhi, Chitta Visuddhi, Ditti Visuddhi, so up to the Jnana Dasana Visuddhi. So it's about the role of the Dhamma. It's not our role. It's a role of the Dhamma. In terms of realizing the Nirvana. I think I will bring another. I use it simile. Venerable Nagasena, compare the nirvana to the sky. There are 10 qualities of sky. Okay, let me read it. As Akasa is not born, does not age, does not die, does not disease, does not arise, is hard to master, cannot be carried off by thief, depends on nothing. And a final one is unending. So like when you just imagine that the nirvana is a sky, okay, nirvana is a sky, and wherever you go, and you can realize it, and it's already there. You no need to to create it. I'm sorry, you no need to create it. What you have to do is you have to practice. You have to practice, and the realizing process is not yours. It is the role of the wisdom. And then I mentioned earlier that the foundation or the place that can bear the nirvana is not something else. It is the sila, it is the morality. So the metaphor was given by Venerable Nagasena is the sila is like the earth. Wherever you go, even you are in United States, even you are in Canada, even you are in Cambodia, even you are in Sri Lanka, you can see the sky. Wherever you are, you can see the sky. Similarly, when you are on the establishment of the foundation of mindfulness, based on the morality, you can attain nirvana. So the place of nirvana is sila. So that's all from me.
Thank you, Bhante. Very interesting and very detailed. And because of the time, I would like to move to the last question. Venerable Kusala first. Well, we have been talking a lot about what is nirvana and so many things around the term nirvana. But now I just would like to ask about, the way to nirvana. There must be some qualification or requirement, right? Like if you are applying to attend a college or university, they will ask for requirement for you to be able to attend. So what are some requirements to Nibbana?
Okay, you need an admission letter from the Nirvana University. So that's I think Bhante Kassapa shed light on the ground, the earth, beneath the sky of Nirvana. That is the sila, setting up, beginning with your sense restrainment, the 5 precepts. You purify your conduct through verbal, mental, and physical behavior purity. And this purity is essential for a person to stay stable and stay above the clouds of hindrances. Otherwise, if the sila the purity ground has been defiled, like the algae in water or the mud in the water, nothing can be seen clearly. Therefore, and it's also like the boiling water, like the Buddha says in Sangarava Sutta. So when all these different spoilers have been eradicated, the Sila ground has set a stage for Samadhi, and Samadhi is a cultivation of mind through jhana practices. You cultivate when you have reached Viveka Jangpiti Sukham, you have achieved the Viveka, Vivicheva Kamehi, being free from sensual pleasures, Vivicha Kusalehi Dhammehi, you abandon the unwholesome states, Savitakkang Savicharam, with thinking and examining of these meditative states, the thoughts, Vivekajam. This is born of Viveka. Now your brain is finally getting Viveka, the leisure, the freedom from the sensual involvement. It's cooling. Piti Sukhan, there is this joyful comfort, happiness that you feel. And this leads to a next stage called Samadhi Jang Piti Sukham. Now there is Samadhi. Samadhi is the stillness of mind. This is like you sitting by a lake and you are not moving at all, meaning you don't control what is happening in the lake. When you are so silent, so quiet, the beautiful things around you can be seen, that beautiful animals never seen before come and enjoy this lake. This is again Najan Braham metaphor. And if you move, if you shake, if you are frightened, those animals will not show up. They won't show up. Just like that, beautiful states of the mind arises when you don't control things in that state. It's like that. So Samadhi Jang Piti Sukham, the joyful happiness arises from Samadhi this time. And then it leads to the third state, that neither pleasure nor non-pleasure, they disappear and you'll come to a balanced state of mind. This very balanced state of mind. Nothing exciting happening. And then Sati Sampajanya arises, mindful comprehension arises in the fourth stage. And this leads to infinite space, infinite consciousness, nothingness, neither perception nor non-perception. These are the stages described by the Buddha. And ultimately, when neither perception nor non-perception has not been taken as a perception of existence, the person extinguishes, person continues to non-exist, and person ceases. Consciousness has nothing to be conscious on, therefore it ceases. And it is preconditioning that leads to that kind of state. So you see, I think you are expecting me to say also practicing, realizing, coming to right view, realizing what is happening in the world, what is happening in you, coming to right view, you come to right thoughts, then your thoughts purify your words, samma vacha, words purify your actions, and actions to your livelihood, livelihood to your mindfulness practice, and having been mindful, you cultivate samadhi, and that way, that samadhi is packed with a lot of insight moments leading to nibbana. So that means one practices the Eightfold Path, setting up the ground to achieve this supreme goal of Nibbana. I think Bhante Kassapa will add his details. He has been giving beautiful Nagasena similes, so beautiful. Thank you for those. Very nice for this discussion. Yeah.
Thank you, Bante. Very well said. Sadhu. Thank you. Let me turn to Venerable Gaspar. So, what is the way to attain nirvana, and can nirvana be attained in this lifetime?
Well, to be honest with you, like from my own experiences and studying the scriptures, it's not that easy. It's not as the way we think that just change the way we look at the world or just yatha bhutang pajanati, just interpret the world as the way it is. I mean, we might have the ability to say it, but when it comes to practice, it's really hard. But from my understanding, that I mean, according to the Anumana Sutta, according to the Ceto Kila Sutta, and some different discourses, what I came to understand is it's about cultivation, it's about development. So we call it in Buddhism the paramita. We have to cultivate, I mean, everything, not just only, I mean, when it comes to Sila Samadhi Panya, it's very broad. Like Rathavini Sutta, there is 7 stages, starting from the Sila Visuddhi until Jnana Dasana Visuddhi, that how, I mean, the accomplishment of morality, then you have to cultivate your concentration, I mean, dhyana, and so on, and to practice vipassana, kinds of dissecting, or like morality, I mean, how to say that, nama rupa, physicality, materiality. So, I mean, abandoning your skeptical doubts, and on and so on. So it's a long process. What you have to do is you need to cultivate a lot of qualities. That is why in Karnimita Sutta, Karni mata kusalena yantang santang padang abisameja. So, like, you have to be very skillful one and interested in wholesomeness, and you have to cultivate a lot of qualities according to the Karnimita Sutta. Simply, what I want to say is it's a long process of cultivating good qualities to attain nirvana. It's about building up qualities. And because the wisdom of insight meditation, of vipassana jnana, is something that very heavy, very strong, very powerful, we need to build up our foundation very strong. For example, the morality, and secondly is our concentration. Because Buddha said that samadhi bhikkhave, I forgot the Pali term, sorry, that he asked us to cultivate a concentration, because concentration, the samahitang cittang yatha bhutang pajanati, that the concentration and the mind with concentration will see the truth. So you cannot cultivate wisdom without concentration. So what I want to say, it's a long process of cultivation, development. So yeah, if you have time, you can read Milinda Panya, that it's a brief description of how to attain nirvana. There are many qualities to be cultivated. So that's all from me.
Yeah, thank you so much, Venerable Kaspa, for sharing your last idea concerning with the way to Nibbana. I do hope that throughout this 1 hour live show discussion, our audience can learn something from both of the speakers, and very interesting, very detailed, and also very deep insight. I also will need to listen a few more times later on, because it is too deep to understand. Sometimes we can hear it, but not sure that we can totally understand what our speaker deliver here. So to understand that, to know better, please read more according to the references that our speakers has shared. So, and because of the time has come to an end right now, I would like to thank you both of the speaker, Venerable Bhante Kusala Jnana from Toronto, Canada, for joining with our program today, and Venerable Kaspa on camera from Cambodia for joining. And I would like to accumulate the merit derived from this Dhammatana. May this merit be accrued to all beings in the whole universe. May all beings live in happiness and peace. May all beings be liberated. Finally, I would like to invite all audience to spend a few minutes for Metta Bhavana, loving kindness meditation, which will be played in record, instructed by Venerable Kasapa on camera. Right now, we would like to say goodbye and wish you all the blessings of the Buddha. Thank you. Bye.
Hello everyone. Let us practice loving friendliness meditation for oneself. Self-loving friendliness meditation is the first section of metta meditation. Self-loving friendliness meditation is designed to direct you to happily take care of yourself, to honestly forgive yourself, to truly accept yourself without conditions. Before starting, please find a very comfortable posture. Close your eyes. Relax your head, your shoulders, your arms, and your entire body. Please slowly take a very deep breath 3 times. When it is done, let your breath flow as naturally as it does. Observe your breath without judgment, reactions, and criticism. Just merely observe it as the way it is while you are listening to my Pali Metta chanting. Aham Now, please create a very tender smile on your face. Visualize your happy and smiling face. You are a very happy person with smiling face. Please keep smiling with honest heart, because you are going to bless yourself. Please be aware of the phrases which I am going to recite, and let yourself honestly feel the real meanings of the phrases. May I May I be free from hatred. May I be free from ill will. May I be free from anger. May I be free from physical and mental sufferings. May I take care of myself happily. May I take care of myself happily. May I take care of myself happily. Now, take your right hand and place it on your chest, and you can mentally repeat after me. In this home, we are family. We live under the same shelter, so we must be kind to each other, be compassionate to each other, be friendly to each other, help each other, respect one another, be happy every day, keep smiling with honest heart, be grateful, be positive, forgive even when it's really hard. Before open your eyes, please take again a very deep breath 3 times. Thank you. May you be well and happy.